Peace, family. This is your brother Malcolm Flex TV, and I wanted to do this video because I posted up a video yesterday of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, where he said that we had nothing to do with the making of the devil. Okay, and I'm going to explain what he meant for those who would like a better understanding. Okay, so let me share my screen with you, and I'm going to play that video for you.
As you probably have heard me say in other tapes, you had nothing to do with the making of the devil. Yakub was no kinky-headed, broad-nosed, thick-lipped man. He was born 20 miles outside of the holy city of Mecca in Arabia. You haven't been there in a long time, brother. Our people down in the jungle. So where did Yakub get his 59,999 rebels from? He got them from out of the original people who were still left in Arabia. And from that you get the making of another rebel, the Caucasian devil.
Okay, so what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is saying, and I'm going to explain it through DNA, right? You have a mitochondrial Eve, right? Because mitochondrial DNA is the DNA that's passed down from mother to daughter. Okay, and you got the Y chromosome, which is the paternal side, is passed down from father to son. Okay, so there's an African mitochondrial Eve, and let's call her L3, right? Let's call her L3. Okay, this woman originated, according to biologists, her and a paternal group, I won't necessarily deal with them right now, migrated from East Africa or the Horn of Africa in two directions, up the Nile Valley River through Egypt into the Levant to get to Arabia, and the southern route, okay, across the I think it's called the Bab el Mandeb Strait, right, to get to Arabia in southern Arabia. Right now, this Eve, L3, right, when she was in Arabia, she was like in the Arabian and West Eurasian area. She had two daughters, okay, mitochondrial DNA M and mitochondrial DNA N, right? I'm going to show it on the map. Mitochondrial DNA M is predominantly found in Asia. Mitochondrial DNA N is predominantly found in Europe. Okay, now according to the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, when we discovered the best part of the planet in the rich Nile Valley of Egypt and the holy city of Mecca in Arabia, we had left civilization, we had left that area and went into East Asia or back into Africa in the jungle, right? Okay, so L3, this mitochondrial Eve, L3, right, she had been in Arabia, according to what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan just stated in the video. She was in Arabia and went back into East Asia or Africa and into the jungles. And he said that there was a remnant of our people, right, that was still in that location. There was a remnant, right, of people still in that location who are carriers of the L3 mitochondrial DNA genetic marker, right? And this L3 gave birth to two genetic markers, the sisters M and M, that are non-African genetic markers, right? Because their place of origin is outside of Africa. Okay? So this is why the minister said that we had nothing to do with creating the devil. Let me play a video of a white woman so you all can understand.
Alright, hey guys, welcome to part 3. This is my second take of this because some of the stuff that I wanted in there didn't get in there, and I kind of went on a bit of a rant, so I'm going to just give you this short and skinny of this. Alright, so right now we're exploring the deep ancestry. It says my maternal line, 1,000 years to 100,000 years ago. I'm going to show you that. Alright, so we got that guy right there, okay? Now we're going to come up, and this lady here is supposed to be the beginning of the L3 branch. Alright, so it says the reason why, and I share 0.1% of the population that has actually uploaded this, and she's dubbed as Mitochondrial Eve and all that great stuff, and two descendant lineages known as L0 and then 1 through 6. And the reason why this is so special, I guess, or significant population migrations in Africa, is because even they take part in the Atlantic slave trade related dispersals from Africa. And they say that that many of the American Africans share this genetic trait. So that's interesting. I'm going to say I was a bit floored when I heard that. I'm like, well,
let me kind of back it up a little bit again for you.
There, okay? 1,000 years to 100,000 years ago. I'm going to show you that.
A little blurry.
All right. So we got that guy right there. Okay? Now we're going to come up, and this lady here is supposed to be the beginning of the L3 branch.
Right. So when you look at the screen and you can see where it says root, you have L3, N, and R, right? But N is important, right? Because again, like I said, N was in Europe. N was in Europe. So let me read part of this article, right? Origin. Okay, according to the recent African origin of modern humans out of Africa theory, the clade is believed to have arisen and dispersed from East Africa, right? L3, mitochondrial DNA. But I'm gonna skip to the third paragraph. It says, an Asian center of origin and dispersal for haplogroup L3 has also been hypothesized based on a similar coalescence dates of L3 and its Eurasian distributed M and N derivative clades around 71,000 years ago. The distant location in Southeast Asia of the oldest subclades of M and N, and the comparable age of the paternal haplogroup DE. So if you watch some of my prior videos, you understand paternal haplogroup DE. I give a thorough understanding. Okay. Let me skip down to this next part. According to the other research, though earlier migrations out of Africa of anatomically modern humans occurred, current Eurasian populations descend from a later migration from Africa dated between 50,000 and 70,000 years ago. A study on a newly discovered basal branch of maternal haplogroup N found in early Neolithic North African remains suggests that haplogroup L3 may have originated in East Africa between 60 to 70,000 years ago, with haplogroup N diverging from it soon after between about 50,000 and 65,000 years ago, either in Arabia or possibly North Africa, and haplogroup M originated in the Middle East, right? Okay, and it says haplogroup L3 is common in Northeast Africa and some other parts of East Africa, in contrast to other parts of Africa where the haplogroups L1 and L2 represent around 2/3 of mitochondrial DNA lineages. L3 sublineages are also frequent in the Arabian Peninsula. L3 is subdivided into several clades, two of which spawn the macro haplogroups M and N that are today carried by most people outside of Africa. Let me read this one as well. Although fossil remains show that anatomically modern humans dispersed out of Africa into the Near East, 100 to 130,000 genetic evidence from extant populations has suggested that non-Africans descend primarily from a single successful later migration. Within the human mitochondrial DNA tree, haplogroup L3 encompasses not only many sub-Saharan Africans, but also all ancient non-African lineages, and its age therefore provides an upper bound for the dispersal out of Africa. The similarity of the age of L3 to its two non-African daughter haplogroups M and N suggests that the same process was likely responsible for both the L3 expansion in Eastern Africa and the dispersal of a small group of modern humans out of Africa to settle the rest of the world. Okay? What they're saying is, and I have other articles that say it as well, is that this mitochondrial Eve, L3, right, is the genetic marker or the origin that gave birth to all groups of people that are non-African. Okay, gave birth to all groups of people that are non-African, Asians, Oceanians, people from the islands, not the Caribbeans, but like Oceanians, like Australians and all them, people from the Sinhalese Islands, although they are black people, and many people who are in Australia also carry the L3 mitochondrial DNA as well. But I'm talking about the two branches that branched off, right? Because whenever a group of people migrate to a certain location, it creates another haplogroup, right? So L3 had two daughter haplogroups M and N, and these are non-African DNAs, right? And white people are finding out because they are carriers of, most of them are carriers of the N haplogroup. They're finding out that their most recent common ancestor is mitochondrial DNA Eve, L3, right? But what the minister said was so significant because according to the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, that when we left civilization or Arabia or Egypt, right, we went into the jungles, right? And that's where we got our kinky hair, broad nose, and thick lips, because when you change the environment, the changing of the environment has an effect on DNA and tissue. Okay? So later on, when Yakub had came along, right, we had already been long gone. We already had another phenotype, right? With the kinky hair, thick lips, and broad nose. But we are still carriers of the L3 mitochondrial DNA. Even so-called African Americans today carry this L3 mitochondrial DNA that's passed down from mother to daughter. Right? We still have, because it's the most diverse DNA in Africa, right? So we had took on, by time Shabazz came into the jungles of Africa, we had taken on a brand new phenotype. So the L3 carriers who are still in Arabia still have the phenotype that is the straight hair, thin lip, elongated nose, right? So now, because I heard the minister's clip, I understood exactly what he meant and what he was saying. I understood exactly what he meant and what he was saying.
As you probably have heard me say in other tapes, you had nothing to do with the making of the devil. Yakub was no kinky-headed, broad-nosed, thick-lipped man. He was born 20 miles outside of the holy city of Mecca in Arabia. You haven't been there in a long time, brother. Our people down in the jungle. So where did Yakub get his 59,999 rebels from? He got them from out of the original people who were still left in Arabia. And from that you get the making of another rebel, the Caucasian devil.
Because the white man is a grafted man, okay? So he is a mutated version of the original man, of the original phenotype, which is the elongated phenotype with the straight hair, thin lips, and a elongated nose. So talking to Dr. Wesley Muhammad, and he was referring to the Pre Shabazz people, the people and what we look like before Shabazz went into the jungles of East Asia. He called them the Pre Shabazz people, right? But are still carriers of the mitochondrial DNA L3. It's still an African genetic marker, but it gave birth to two non-African genetic markers, right? So this is what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan means, that we had nothing to do with the creation of the devil. Although that does not mean that we are not related to those people. We are still related to those people because they carry the same DNA structure. You know, but they just have a different phenotype. Because we had left that area a long time ago, and a remnant of us stayed behind. Some of us stayed behind. They didn't leave with Shabazz. You know, and I know there's going to be some brothers that say, well, they Shabazz too. The whole all black people is Shabazz, but not according to the teachings the way I understand it, okay? Because, you know, there's going to be some brothers was like, well, Shabazz was the lost tribe of Shabazz was 66 trillion years ago, right? But from my understanding is that according to the supreme wisdom in the student enrollment, the question is asked, what is the birth record of the said nation of Islam? You know, answer, the said nation of Islam has no birth record, has no beginning nor ending, right? So, in my opinion, that those people 66 trillion years ago are the said nation of Islam, right? Because Shabazz hadn't even been on the scene yet, right? And that's why I say that those people who created Yakub and his people who created the devil, when the minister said that we had nothing to do with the creation of the devil, and I say, yeah, and Yakub is not Shabazz, is because Shabazz took his family, right, into the jungles of East Asia or Africa, right? Because if I have a family and I take my family to another exclusive area and location, then they will be considered the tribe of Malcolm Flex, right? Although I got a sister over here, right? And yes, we are related, but I got my own tribe. She got her own tribe. And he got his own tribe. My brother, he got his own tribe. Although we share the same most recent common ancestor and we are blood related, we are not of the same tribe. Right? So it's a major difference. Right? I had other notes that I did want to present, but I didn't want to make this long. But I wanted to make this definitely understandable. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up. And also go and check out my other videos on this subject. You know, they're very enlightening, very informational. So this is your brother Malcolm Flex TV. I'm out.
That's my best friend.